What's going on, y'all? I hope everybody is feeling fantastic this Friday. So let's go ahead and jump into these topics. So Kid Cudi took the stand on yesterday and he talked about being traumatized by Diddy, someone actually breaking into his house, disrupting his dog, doing something horrible to the dog, making the dog skittish and things of that nature. And also someone cut the roof of his Porsche and actually threw a cocktail in there. And of course it caught on fire and kind of exploded. Didn't blow up to pieces, but it did kind of explode. So Kid Cudi was giving his account about the situation. And even though there were several things that stood out from his story, the one thing that I take away from it is the fact that he was misled by Cassie. Cassie could have gotten that man deleted. And it also paints a picture that Cassie moved around. She really did. She wasn't just having sex with Diddy. She was dating ball players. She was dating other rappers. And who knows? And that's not to shame her at all, because who doesn't love sex? And on top of that, why should she stay committed to Diddy when Diddy was doing the same thing? But I'm just saying, the reason why I brought it up is based off of the fact that they try to paint her as some angel. Cassie is not an angel whatsoever. Now, one thing that really disturbed my spirit is the fact that Young Thug had something to say about Kid Cudi being a snitch. And I'm like, dude, how dare you? You're lucky to be out right now. You're lucky to be out in the streets with your family and things like that. Because if it wasn't for Brian Steele being a remarkable lawyer, you would be up the road somewhere getting dug out, spewing mud all across the prison walls. Let's just keep it all the way a buck. So Kid Cudi has never came out to be and talked about being some thug or some gangster or things like that. This man is a victim here. And if I'm keeping it real, the person that you should be addressing is Woody. Woody, the one that snitched on you. You need to be addressing him. But you ain't going to address him, right? Because he can get with you with that street mentality, right? Whatever you want to take it to, he can go there with you too. So in my estimation, Kid Cudi has nothing to be ashamed of. Listen, I have a couple of homeboys that aren't built like that either, right? But I love them. They're my homies, right? And so if we go out and something pops off, they're well protected. So in the event, if something goes to that magnitude where we have to defend ourselves and I get locked up or members from our team get locked up, we already know that they're going to be excluded because they don't have anything to do with this, and I don't expect them to take the rap for something that I actually did. But anyway, what I want to do right now is play you guys just an update as it pertains to what Kid Cudi had to say on the stand yesterday, and then I'll be back.
I'm not a lawyer, but right before lunch on day 9 of the Diddy trial, Kid Cudi gets called to the stand. And to put this testimony in context, arson is one of the racketeering activities charged under Diddy's RICO charge. So in basic terms, prosecutors are trying to prove that the alleged blowing up of Kid Cudi's car was done at Diddy's direction and in connection with his violence, trafficking of women, and his covering up of his crimes. So on the stand, Kid Cudi says that he started dating Cassie in 2011. He acknowledges that she was also involved with Diddy, but to his understanding, they were having some problems and were not together anymore. In December of 2011, Cudi says that Cassie called him around 6 o'clock in the morning and told him that Diddy found out that they were dating. Cudi says he was confused because he thought Cassie and Diddy weren't dating anymore. Cassie asked him to pick her up, and according to him, she sounded really stressed and scared, so he went to go get her. He and Cassie go to a hotel, and while there, they speak on the phone with a woman named Capricorn Clark, who is one of Diddy's employees. According to Cudi, Clark sounded very scared and like she was on the verge of tears. She tells him that Diddy was inside of Kid Cudi's house and that she was forced to go with him and was currently sitting in a car outside waiting for them. So Cudi says he leaves the hotel to go to his house, and on the way there, he calls Diddy, and Diddy tells him, quote, "I just want to talk to you." To which Cudi says, "I'm on my way. I'll be right down." And then Diddy replied, "I'm over here waiting for you." Ciao. Cudi says when he got to his house, everything on the outside seemed normal, but he later realized that his security cameras had been moved. On the inside, Cudi says that some gifts that he bought for his family had been opened, and his dog was locked in the bathroom, but he had not put the dog in the bathroom before he left because he typically allows the dog to roam. Cudi testified that after the break-in, his dog was jittery and on edge all the time. And this is worth noting because before the day started, the defense team asked the judge for Cudi to not be allowed to talk about his dog's behavior, but the judge overruled it. Cudi says when he got to his house, he called Diddy asking where he was because at this point, Cudi wanted to fight him. And Diddy said he was on his way, but after thinking everything through, Cudi said he decided to call the police and report the break-in. After this incident happened, Cudi said he went to Connecticut to go see Cassie. Remember, her and her mom testified that she went to Connecticut during the holidays that year. And while there, Cudi says Diddy texted him a couple times, but he didn't want to talk. He said, quote, "You broke into my house, you messed with my dog, I don't want to talk to you." Also during that time, he confirms that he and Cassie broke up. And then one morning in January of 2012, Cudi says that his dog sitter called him while he was at a friend's house about 45 minutes away. He said the sitter sent him photos of his damaged car in his driveway. The photos are then shown to Cudi on the stand as well as the jury. And when describing them, Cudi says, quote, "That's the damage of the Molotov cocktail in my Porsche. It looks like the top of my Porsche was cut open." Apparently, law enforcement later found a Molotov cocktail in the driver's seat. When Cudi was asked what his reaction was to the incident, this reporting says he deadpan responded, "What the f-?" The defense objected, but the judge overruled. A few days after the incident, Cudi says he reached out to Diddy saying, "Let's talk, this is getting out of hand." And so a meeting was set up at Soho House. Cudi said he walked into the meeting and Diddy was, quote, "staring out the window with his hands behind his back like a Marvel supervillain." I want to know if Diddy laughed at that comment or not. At the meeting, Cudi says they discussed how he and Cassie started dating up to how it ended. Cudi testified that Diddy was acting very calmly, and when he at one point asked Diddy about his car, Diddy replied, quote, "I don't know what you're talking about," and then gave him his word that he didn't have anything to do with what happened to Cudi's car. Cudi says that he and Diddy later ran into each other at the Soho House in 2015, and Diddy pulled him aside to apologize. According to Cudi, Diddy said, quote, "Man, I just want to apologize for everything and all that bull." Cudi said he found peace with the situation after that. And then it was time for Cross, and Brian Steele from Diddy's defense handles the cross. Steele highlights that there was no surveillance footage of the incident itself, and that the DNA that was taken from the scene came back to a female, but Cudi says he never heard any follow-up from the police regarding the DNA. And speaking about the relationship Cudi had with Cassie, Brian Steele says, quote, "You told this honorable court," you know Brian Steele loves an honorable court, "and this jury that she played you." Cudi says yes. Steele says, "She played you and you had no clue." Cudi says, "No clue. They just stopped talking after being in contact almost every day for about a year." And when Steele says, quote, "You got played by the same person who played Mr. Combs, Cassie Ventura," Cudi says, "True." Then Steele moves on to the day of the alleged break-in, asking Cudi if there was any forced entry or damage done to his home, to which Cudi confirms there was not. Steele asks if Cassie ever told him that Diddy was abusing her, to which Cudi says yes, but confirms she never told him that she was being intimately. And Steele highlights that in the 13 years since this incident has happened, police have never followed up with Cudi. There haven't been any arrests or any physical evidence tying Diddy to this crime, and Cudi confirms there has not. From there, prosecutors get up and they emphasize that the reason for Cudi and Cassie breaking up was the, quote, "drama." It was getting out of hand, the break-in, and it was for Cudi's safety and Cassie's safety. And then Cudi is let off the stand.
All right, so you guys just heard all of that. Now, it's going to be very interesting on Tuesday when Capricorn Clark takes the stand, because she used to be Diddy's assistant and she's spoken out against Diddy several times in the past. But anyway, what I want to do right now is insert this clip of Kim Porter's best friend, LaWanda, who happens to be the caretaker of Kim Porter's twin daughters. And basically, she is discrediting Al B. Sure to the 10th power, this whole press tour that he's on promoting this book. She's basically saying that Al B. Sure is lying about everything, and everybody who's speculating that Diddy actually deleted Kim Porter doesn't know what they're talking about. So check it out and I'll be back.
Let me be very clear on Kim's passing. That nobody but her closest friends and our children were there. I was in London. My daughter was actually taking care of her every day. She was sick. One of our best friends was there, and the week before, all of our closest friends were there, and one was flying back. I spoke to her 10 hours before. I spoke to her every day. I lived in that house. For someone to speak so reckless about something that we have as a friend group and as her family who lost her mother 4 years before, and we were all there, to speak so recklessly on stuff that you know nothing about. You saw that woman 2 months before for an hour. You were not friends. You did not have a discussion. Is wrong to her children, wrong to her family. Her father is still alive. Is wrong to us, her friends who have been there and were there taking care of her. No one expected this, not her. My conversation, I hung up. It was fine. We said, "I love you." We spoke for an hour for things. And then I get a call from my daughter a few hours later. And unfortunately, the worst happened to us. But for the world to take on this narrative and this craziness, what is the benefit for Sean to not have the mother of his kids? There is no benefit. That is not, she was not writing a book. That was not Kim's mental state about anything. And to be reckless and to talk about things that you don't know that we have been able to keep private for 7 years for us as a whole, that's our business. She was our friend. That was somebody's daughter. That's somebody's granddaughter that her grandmother just passed. Like, and her children, she had kids who knew she was not well. So that's just, you know, I get very upset because I don't understand how people can just talk about something they have no idea about anything. None.
Listen, I understand that you and Kim Porter were friends for so many years. I understand that you have custody of the twins, but I still don't believe you. I'm riding with Al, and I'm also riding with the connections that I have. Ever since Kim passed away, some of the things that were told to me, I expressed on my platform here, and some things I just kept to myself because they were just that personal. So listen, I understand you have this deep connection with Kim Porter and her family, but I'm riding with Al. I'm riding with the narrative that Kim Porter was deleted. And if he didn't do it himself, he definitely put someone up to do it. I'm just sticking to that, and I'm standing 10 toes down in what I believe. Because at this point in my mind, you are a paid public speaker, and the fact that Kim left you some money and the fact that you're still getting paid from Diddy to take care of the twins and things like that, I don't trust anything that you have to say. And at this point, I'm gonna keep it real. I love her to death, but I don't even trust Kimora at this point, y'all. But anyway, I'm gonna let this go right here. I want you guys to drop down in the comments and let me know what y'all think about everything that I discussed in this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, consider subbing to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Yep.